Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Game of Moans. I'm Dan.
I'm Matt.
I'm also Dan.
And I'm Aaron.
Right, who's going first?
I will start first. Okay, in the past week, Sony kind of sort of announced that they were going to be making another PS4, which everyone has dubbed the PS4.5.
Yeah.
Or the PS4k. It's for people that have 4K TVs.
Who has a 4K TV?
What people?
For the four people.
Right, yeah,
in
what
England,
people
for
have
the
4K
telly.
TVs? Like, the average price for a 4K TV I found out is about £1,000.
Madness.
That's a lot of money.
And that's not like that big.
Yeah.
Obviously, we all want better graphics and whatever, but is 4K even necessary? And plus, if they bring out a PS 4.5, PS4k, whatever, and you need to get a 4K TV, does that mean you have to buy your games again, or is it the same?
No, I think all the games are technically in 4K already.
I think it'll just be like upgrading, like when you shoot a movie and then you can implement a 3D bit of software to turn that movie into 3D. You literally probably just download a 4K update.
Maybe.
I wouldn't rule it
I
out.
still don't know why you need it.
Here's the
like,
thing-
games look good enough as it is at the moment.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, we've seen the trailer for what's the Jennifer Lawrence one, Detroit.
yeah,
It doesn't have Jennifer Lawrence in it.
yeah,
it
we
just
call it
looks
that.
yeah,
But we
yeah,
don't know
yeah.
who she is.
But
yeah.
that looks sharp as fuck, and I'm sure while that
Thing
trailer
is, that looks sharp, but we watched that on my phone.
yeah,
Like a TV in HD 4K. Like, I don't know if it's going to look much better than that. I don't understand the difference. To be perfectly honest, I'm not that techie. I don't know what the difference is.
and that's the thing. The layperson, the average consumer, doesn't know. All they know
Yeah.
is better than HD. Other than that, don't know anything else.
Apparently better than HD. But the issue is, because it's going to be for games, is it going to impact how you play the game? Because maybe I'm just an idiot, but when they very briefly tried to do 3D games, I started playing Black Ops 1 or something like that, because my dad got obsessed with 3D
Oh,
for a while.
yeah, they did
I couldn't
do
hit
3D,
shit.
didn't they?
I
Yeah.
could not hear anything. The dimensions were all completely messed up. Even when they first made Crash Bandicoot slightly HD, I saw the ice thing and went, I don't know how that's going to work with 4K. It's going to blow my mind. I'm not
Take
going to
it out in your eyes.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like one down from IMAX, right?
It's a few down from
Essentially,
IMAX, but
yeah.
in terms,
It's going to
It's as close as you can get on like your own
10
TV at
minutes
home,
at a
though,
time.
right? You say that it's close. Like, it's still going to be on a TV that's like, I don't know, 40 inches roughly. Is probably the average size of a TV at home.
I mean, you
But,
just
like,
you don't have the eyes for
I
our
don't,
4K.
yeah, I
we
don't know if
have
you
it.
need all of that stuff on one TV. Do you need all those pixels?
I've never watched a
something wasted.
DVD. I've never watched a DVD and thought, man, that could be sharper.
It's aimed at people that have 4K DVD players, or that
Which
sort
is
of,
no
like,
one.
Like, yeah,
I believe graphics are kind of reaching a pinnacle. Graphics can always improve. Can't the focus shift towards more story, gameplay, that type of thing?
Yeah.
Like, graphics are always important. Some games are made on graphics. Last of Us, if it looked like...
so I disagree with
crap.
that. I'd say The Last of Us is based on the story. I'd play that if it.
Last
if
of
it
Us
looked
is the
crap.
best movie that came out that year, though, Dan.
That's the thing, but that's not because it looked good, though, is it? That's because the story. Okay, it did look good,
that
but
was
that's
partially
partly because
because
of the story as well, though.
Yeah,
Like, if that game would have looked not as good as that, I'd have still enjoyed that story as much as I
not
did.
denying that Naughty Dog can do like third-person cover-based shooters absolutely spot on, and their stories are really well done. But Last of Us looked lovely, man. Like, that was towards
Yeah.
the end of PS3's last.
So that's a good point. I
cycle.
can't imagine that looking much better than it did.
Yeah, like
Or like the
PS4 version, just like-
Uncharted looks mind-blowingly good. I can't imagine that looking much better in 4K than it is on my TV at the minute.
what will
Is
what will
4K
gain from 4K?
Is 4K in the conversation when it comes to talking about 30 FPS versus 60, or is this completely different?
It's different. I'm not talking about the other day. Like, in film, I don't think you need 60 frames per second.
No, it
In-
looks like it's
Ask
too.
where
It's
Dan
too
game-
Anderson just takes frames up.
In game, it's slightly different. I originally thought was the point. And then you
Then
can,
you made
so
the
on The
jump.
Last of Us, you can play on both. You can like go into options and switch between the both.
Okay.
And because you're controlling it, it essentially makes the response times much quicker. So he moves as I move, as the point, like, there's no lag in the movement.
It's like
it doesn't.
increase in mouse speed.
Yeah, it doesn't bug me the way it did when I watched The Hobbit. Whereas in games, it doesn't really do that. It's all about how responsive it is or how smooth. Like, you putting your gun out in there, it doesn't it sort of cuts out the jump skips. 60 frames is not important to games, but it's probably beneficial as opposed to 4K, which is
A gimmick.
superficial.
It's
Yeah.
an aesthetics piece. Like,
It'll take a long time to get that. I mean,
Yeah.
the issue that we've mentioned with 4K is that No one owns a 4K
Yeah, it's
TV.
actually no one owns it. Like,
no
what's
one
the
owns
point?
the thing. No one owns that.
Price on them
but
stupid.
at least us three, and hopefully you too. We're going to go and see Ran in 4K,
4K.
at
Yeah.
the end of the month. You know, cinema exhibition of a film in 4K. So
Yeah, but
clearly,
the difference between that and this is we're watching that on a cinema screen.
well, but this is what I'm saying. Clearly, the issue is not necessarily 4K itself, but the exhibition and accessibility of it. Like we're going to go see it in 4K because we don't have to do anything. We just turn up. Whereas with 4K gaming, it changes your setup.
I don't know how much a 4K PS4 would
Just
cost.
gonna say
but,
that, yeah.
Like, I don't like the idea of buying a console again, especially if it's exactly the same console.
Okay, so what I'm taking from this is that none of us are going to buy the PS4K, but maybe but we'll wait for PS5 to do that. Maybe.
Yeah, I think when it does it as a standard thing for a brand new console, it's fine.
Okay.
But like, this won't do anything different to the PS4 I've got.
On the subject of visuals and things, actually, your moan, Aaron, about how it's going to kill your eyes.
My moan is for the VR, the Morpheus, the whatever we're calling it these days, glorified sunglasses. I believe VR will become a gimmick. In the same way, I love the Wii. It was an excellent console, but it was very for casual gamers kind of thing. Whereas the VR, it looks like it's only going to be like for really hardcore gamers, because it's currently standing at £100, $400.
No, it's more than that. Have you seen the price of the PlayStation VR? It's 350 quid.
Was that with the move and the camera?
Nope, that's just for the headset.
Huh.
But even if you look down the description of it, it also then says, to use this, you need PlayStation 4, PlayStation Move, and a PlayStation camera.
4K screen.
Each of those things are like £100 each nearly. Like, the PlayStation
Yeah.
camera's got to be 60 quid.
So is it
Yeah.
like a thing, a peripheral you put on your face?
Yes.
It's literally a giant night.
Call me simple or old or neither, please. But isn't it to have a screen essentially that close to your face?
Is it gonna fuck your eyes?
Must be bad for you. And
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
all our parents said if you watch too much TV you'll get square eyes, and we all know that wasn't true. But
it
this
affects
must
you.
be a bit true.
Yeah, because the screens are going to be, I don't know, in
That.
front of your face.
I mean, you're not supposed
Yeah.
to look at anything that close, really.
It's going to be tiny though.
Yeah.
In real life, very small.
Yeah,
So it might not be that obnoxious.
yeah.
I suppose so. The whole point is you're supposed to assume that it's all around you, isn't it? And I guess it's just there all the time. But I'm with Matt. I still don't think having something right there in front of my face.
It doesn't sound
'Cause
healthy.
I'm still going to be looking at something that's there, whether my mind thinks it's miles away or not.
Plus, it
Still-
just sounds a bit twatty. Like you go into your friend's room and he's like, "Dude, guys," and
I'm tripping balls right now.
like there wouldn't be any YouTube channels of people like playing Oculus Rift or PSVR.
Oh, there will be.
because-
There will be those idiots on YouTube with these things strapped to their face.
It's the fact that casual gamers on a daily basis, 2-3 hours,
If
if that,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
literally, it's
midnight
literally-
until 3 a.m. I'm gonna say yeah.
How many gamers? Three rounds of COD. Hardcore gamers, daily basis. You got the day off work, 8 hours, 6 hours. You can't be wearing an Oculus Rift or a VR for like 8 hours. That's
No,
that
I
has
feel that's
got
not
to
going to be
kill
healthy.
your
Yeah.
eyes.
See, will it go the same way as Google Glass?
I was
Just like
just you run up,
bought that.
you run up to someone's face, you shout diarrhea 50 tabs, and then
We had a look at about 10 games for the VR yesterday because we're going to Eurogamer,
Yep.
as we like to plug constantly.
what date is that?
That
That'll be
7th,
7th, 8th, and 9th of April.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
It's the fact that a lot of them literally look like
Ooh, look
tech
like
demos. Some of them look like really good. The assembly, which literally looks like Portal mixed with Mutant Eugenics.
That's the one where you're down in the bunker on the
Arizona
So, yeah.
bunker, and it looks like 1 out of every 10 games looks like a playable game. Like you're going to get your 10 hours.
So that was my problem. The rest of them are just sort of like, we'll plonk you in a room and you can look at like sausages on the wall and touch them. Or
What job?
there was one
Every
that
job.
you were floating underwater somewhere and you could like watch sharks and stuff. It
Yeah.
looked really cool and like the
But it
fish
was
looked real.
Planet
And,
Earth.
yeah.
It's like
So that's my
sport.
problem with VR. I think it will be buried under like, look, we can like put you in the middle of a room somewhere. Or
Yeah,
I think
'cause-
what will make you money on if like places like travel agents said, you want to see what the Vatican looks like? Here you go, bosh.
Yeah, like
Go visit the Vatican.
Google
thing,
Map
rent
to
this
VR.
for it.
That'd be cool
We'd
as hell.
never need to go on holiday. We'd never need to
See?
leave our house. I mean, that's not different, but you know,
Like,
we'd,
yeah.
See, it's total recall. It's a way to transport you somewhere without moving you somewhere.
this VR thing, like, it's been the object and subject of a lot of sci-fi films, TV, whatever, for years, because we thought, damn, that'd be cool. Clearly, as we're not strongly in favour of virtual reality stuff, it looks to me like the future of gaming isn't in, I was this close to my face and I'm sort of really there, but in have any of you seen the film Her?
Yeah.
Where Joaquin Phoenix has like
Yeah,
the game
that's
and he
good,
can
yeah.
like sort of that sort of where it's
Yeah, 'cause-
like in the Avengers where Tony Stark just says, "All right, I'm making this," and then
Minority Report.
Yeah.
exactly like that.
Ghost in the Shell.
I mean, if video games going any direction, that would surely be a good one to go in.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
did anybody watch E3 this year?
Nope.
Yep.
So we had a glass table and it was projecting a zoom in of a Minecraft map.
That was cool. Yeah.
And literally 3D model. You put these glasses on, but they're literally
So was that
glasses.
through Google Glass or something as well?
Yeah.
Or something similar to that?
And it just you see it projecting. It's like when you got your
Yeah.
PS Vita, and you can just have the holograms.
I think it's also pointed out that like Minority Report stuff can't exist because you cannot have a thing floating in the air because there's nothing for
You
the
need
image
to
to
have
bounce off of.
a projector.
So the way this
Projection
thing
of
works
some
is you
sort.
put your glasses on and it kind of augmented reality put it on a table in front of you. So
Maybe-
you saw it as the way Tom Cruise would see it in that film.
Maybe
The
AR
rest of the world just sees a prat with glasses all going, "Hey!" So I think that's all that VR will ever do. Like, it won't ever get more advanced than you cannot have it around you because that's not the way the world works. I don't know what you can do with it other than
Well,
plonking you first person somewhere.
just
and letting you
visual.
whistle.
It's about immersion, really.
Yeah, I can think horror games like
You're
how good
still
would
holding
PT?
a controller.
Oh, fuck that.
Like how good would
Okay,
PT
experience.
be
No
in
chance.
VR?
Have you seen somebody play PT in VR?
You can play PT in VR? Ah shit, I thought I
somebody,
invented that then.
somebody played Skyrim in VR. He had a treadmill and everything. It was amazing. It's like literally had a full setup.
The
See,
only
that's
person
the
to
other
lose
thing.
weight
Like, I've
playing
seen people
Skyrim.
using that thing, the weird dome thing you have to walk on to get it to move.
Yeah.
And you eventually going to have to buy this weird harness thing so you turn around. There is. It looks
Are
like
we
a,
just going to be the people from Wall-E?
Yes.
basically. Yeah.
All right,
There's this
sorted.
cradle thing you stand in. As you walk, this thing senses like where your feet are, so it's all around you, and it's just a dome with sensors on it.
Like we said, it's about immersion. It's about really believing it. I'd like to move on to my moan, which is epic films in general, the ones that are supposed to be the grandest and the most immersive in some way. And my issue is epic films these days. I mean, we've just had the trailer for the Ben-Hur remake, and we get the 300 films, and we get all of these, and they never really feel truly
Like proper
epic. The thing is with epicness is that it's about legacy and it's about something being enduring. An epic film is that old stone tower that will stand for hundreds of years. With film,
that Frank Underwood
that
quote?
was
Yeah.
Frank Underwood. It's when we think about epics, we're talking about Gladiator, probably the most recent one to be honest, but we're also talking about the original Ben-Hur, the Ten Commandments, this kind of thing, Lord of the Rings. And I haven't seen the original Ben-Hur. I haven't seen the Ten Commandments. We all have heard of these. We know that they're massive set pieces and whatever.
Yeah.
And with this latest Ben-Hur, it looks like a CGI fest that's going to be forgotten a couple of weeks after it
It
comes
looks
out.
like every other historical war film at the minute. Yeah.
I mean, last year we had Exodus. You know, Exodus.
Yeah,
It's a
so it
fucking
looks like
Bible
Exodus,
story. Exodus.
Nobody watched that.
No one even
Yeah.
cared
It's
about
a
it.
strange film. That.
I haven't seen it.
So strange.
I mean,
That he first sees God, and he's having this vision where he's just in mud. It's just his face poking out of mud. It looks fucking stupid. They went off the rocker with that one.
but my issue is that we've had Exodus, which is a Bible story, which has the potential to be great. We have Ben-Hur coming out, which is a tale of the Christ. We even had Hail Caesar come out very recently, which is not a film, which isn't an epic film, but it's a film about the making of an epic film, and it just it gives you a real sense of both the artifice and the grandeur of these kind of films. There's nothing like that anymore. Even 300, which should be an epic story. 300 Spartans fighting off against 10,000 Persians in this much space. That should be something that fucking transcends time, that will stand as a monolith to the greatness of cinema to come, and it's just not happening. Why?
Damn.
That was good.
I didn't want to interrupt. That was just.
I didn't even write that down. But what I do have written down is a definition of epic films. And I just want to see, when you think about it, what fits that definition, all right? An epic film is defined as films made on a large scale with a sweeping scope and an emphasis on spectacle and grandeur. They are often lavish and extravagant, and the hero's success may often change the course of history. The film itself may well be legendary. Can you say anything like that today?
Well,
Yeah.
I think you could have them in isolation, but the issue is every film that comes out now is meant to be an epic. I guess that'll be our superhero films, this generation's interpretation of the epic.
That's a shame.
But
Yeah, there
are
are
a dime a
Ben-Hur,
dozen.
sadly.
Just think if there
You
had
get
never
all over
been
the shop.
any other superhero film apart from Batman vs Superman that's coming out now, you'd go, fucking hell, that's massive.
Yeah.
But now you just think,
Would you count Watchmen as an epic?
I
That
would,
is-
because
Kind of.
it's very grand in scale, and it's about what does it mean for the rest of humanity if we do a certain thing.
Even though it is a Zack Snyder CGI first, which can be its
But it's based on
Achilles
Alan
heel.
Moore's stuff. Epic stuff is often complicated, and Watchmen is complicated. You know, it's all the political stuff, and you know, we're dealing with the end of the world possibly, and that is the most epic thing. The end of the world, or the beginning of civilization, as with Ben-Hur, or The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, or any of those sort of great westerns, because it's not just three guys shooting each other. You know, it's something else, something quite textural and muscular and sumptuous, I think.
My problem with epic films now is all CGI.
Yeah.
So you can now show something bigger and better than you ever could. So you can
Now you
the
fuck
Avengers
CGI
or
ghosts.
like Infinity War and that stuff is going to show, I don't know, the universe at war or something.
I mean, the
that's
Infinity
too-
War, that's an
like,
epic
that's just
time.
You know,
ridiculous,
but
isn't
like, isn't that just too big? Like the reason like Gladiator looks amazing, and the reason Lord of the Rings and Ben-Hur back in the day, it was because all those people were there.
Yeah.
Like those sets were physical things. Like all that stuff was there. I
Yeah,
could see it.
thousands of extras.
Whereas now I'm used to looking at stuff and thinking, oh, that's CGI. Like those 20 people are real, but the rest of them are CGI. Not that you can tell that it's there, but like you just know it is.
Like you are kind of attuned to the general fakeness. There's no such thing as just like a standalone one epic thing. Like, don't get me wrong, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, those are epic, but they're several parts thing. We deserve, as we're paying enough to go to the cinemas. Going to
Yeah.
cinemas is expensive, all right? Well, I want to see something grand on screen, and the epics we've had
I
so
was doing
far.
an actual epic.
Yeah, I mean, we had Interstellar, and
Oh,
Interstellar was amazing. It was an epic should be fucking transcendent, basically. That's all I want. Is that too much to ask?
what
We were
transcendence?
transcendent.
There was a film called
that shit
Transcendent.
film with
Did you
Johnny
enjoy
Depp.
that film?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
It was as good as Lucy.
But yeah, that's my beef. That's my moan, if you will. That epics these days aren't epic.
I'll say that's fair.
Yeah.
Right, my go then. So I'll preface this with a little annoying story, if I may.
By all means.
When we were at university, a lot of our teachers would brag about, oh yeah, I used to work in film, but when they didn't, they just worked on, little tiny TV things. But anyway,
Coronation Street.
yeah, for example. One of the teachers told a story of her friend who used to direct a lot of episodes of TV, and she said he was told that in every episode they had to tick the box so there'd be a quota of, one thing must blow up, there must be sex, you must see a woman's bum, or something like that. And ever since I've heard that, I can see nothing but these
Can you
quotes
see
in
that
every
tick
show.
list?
Like I watched Daredevil. So the whole of it, I spammed it. Probably quite a good way to do it, to be fair. But in every episode, you can see the same things happening. There's a fight. There's an argument between friends. You can just see it in every episode of every TV show that isn't as great as it should be. There's something that they just have to fit in there, and it really does stand out like a sore thumb to me, particularly with sex scenes when the story's moving on fine. It's like, oh, we'll just shag for 5 minutes, and then we're back to it. Obviously, I'm not behind the scenes of it, but it certainly appeared that way to me. As in, we were speaking earlier, and we did notice in the first series, the fights are only when necessary. They're quite sporadic, and that makes them feel more epic, to move back to your previous point. But in this one, there is literally a battle between 100 ninjas and everyone, and you just think, oh, fuck me, what's the point? They're not going to get killed. Why?
There's so much cannon fodder.
Yeah, and it devalues it. It devalues shows. To be fair, I think Game of Thrones did get a bit guilty of that at one point with too much violence again, too much, everything's going fine. Oh, add some tits, sort yourself out, and then back to the story, I don't know why we have to go through that. We've spoken a number of times about there is evidence to show that people want stuff that is good. They don't want churned out crap. But again, this is a kind of direction we're moving in now. Even with TV, we're supposedly in the golden age, but now it's getting taken over and even more monetized, and you can tell it's just someone who's gone, oh, fans respond well to this, stick it in.
It's a real shame. I mean, you were talking to me about this before, that just sex scenes generally are gratuitous. I mean, Game of Thrones is kind of like the standard bearer for that kind of thing, but what was your bigger point with that?
With Game of Thrones?
With the sex scenes thing, because you were saying that was your original moan before we expanded it to this.
Yeah, it's the fact that it cheapens the show. It's just unnecessary, and it makes it
A little bit trashy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, people see Game of Thrones as something that's quite sordid, really, and I don't think it should be that way.
That's not really fair. It's a prestige picture, basically. It's an epic, in fact.
Yeah, that very much is the definition of an epic, Game of Thrones, you're right. But obviously, the kind of sexual intrigue and minutiae of the characters can be important because it can advance the plot if someone gets caught with someone they shouldn't be with, for example. But when you can tell they've just... Okay, even the first episode, the first thing you see of Daenerys basically is her arse.
Yeah.
That has got nothing to do with the story. Straight away, let's say someone's trying to watch that with his girlfriend who might be a bit sensitive about these kind of things. It's a fantastic show, but they're going to go, oh, this is just exploitation, get rid of it. And who's to say they're wrong?
It's one thing that does grind my gears about Game of Thrones, and this really is a different video, but people go, oh, it's just violence and sex and whatever, and all your favourite characters die. It's like, no, all the right characters die at the right times. It's not lurid, it's not schlocky, or at least it isn't supposed to be.
The thing is, with like sex scenes and exploitation and the body, in general, like late night TV, it's just excellent one. It doesn't matter what's on. Like the swear words, the sex, there's blood and gore, there's dead babies. That's kind of. It's not that it's expected. It's just become a staple. It's the fact that
Isn't that what expectation would be? Just that it's a staple.
Thesaurus says "fuck you."
Wow.
I just don't think it's ever going to change. And it's the fact that Game of Thrones, with like out any sex in it or tone down the violence, is totally pointless. Like I'd go and watch like Sinbad, whereas when we're watching stuff like Breaking Bad, The Wire, Generation Kill,
Just like pure story.
yeah, it needs to be in there. Whereas I understand what you're saying, like setting stuff, it's just pointless. Tudors, there was like no episode without any ass hitting that, and that it was more distracting.
Really good.
Like it could have been a good series, but when it becomes distracting, when it like takes away from the story, that's when it should be binned and like burned alive with phosphorus grenades.
That's exactly my point, that the sex and stuff should add to the story. It should be something that moves something on, you know. I'm far from a prude, you know, you guys all know that, but it's just starting to really just get on my tits having to see this all the time. You mentioned Breaking Bad. Whenever there's a sex bit in that,
And there isn't very much of it.
you're not watching the sex bit for like, oh yeah, she's got her tits out, is it? It's why is this happening? You know, the bit where he just roughly starts taking Scott from behind.
Season
You're not
2,
watching that because they're, you know, this is good.
Yeah.
You're watching it because it shows.
it's uncomfortable. It's like,
exactly.
Jesus Christ, he's breaking down a
It shows
little
a change
bit.
in the character's relationship, and that's what it should be there for, not just so someone can go, whoa.
Yeah, I agree. We all agree?
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
Thanks. I hope you do as well.
All right, this has been Game of Moans episode 3. We've been Game
Don't
Over,
know.
and thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Next time, guys.